TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Zyman, your State Farm insurance agent. Scott can help you save money bundling your home and auto insurance. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Zyman and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. For delivery or pickup, call 815-758-8116 or go to pizzavilla.com. My Insurance Guys in Sycamore, family owned, local, reliable. My Insurance Guys cover Medicare to auto and everything in between. Call us in Sycamore at 815-899-0950. My Insurance Guy, business, auto, home, life, and health at myinsuranceguy.com. And Eldercare Services of DeKalb County, safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay at home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdekalb.org. And welcome into TD Ryan Unleashed News Podcast number 13. Nothing unlucky about that, as we're joined by the DeKalb Police Chief, David Byrd, who somehow found time to talk to us today. Dave, we know you're very busy. Thanks so much for taking time today.
Well, like I said, I feel like we got the band back together. So I miss you guys, man. I miss our monthly talks. It's an opportunity to get information to the community. So I always want to make sure that I have those conversations. So
we're excited to learn. And of course, Dan Lynch, the oak tree of the newscast. Dan, how you doing this morning?
Hey, Dan.
I'm turning gray.
You are. I didn't want to say anything. You just got a haircut.
Did you ever dye your hair?
No, I'm never going to go there. Obviously, and Chief, we can't ask him about that.
No. Hey, my hair's been gone a long time.
But if you grew your goatee.
Oh yeah, it would be great. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm almost 59 years old, so it's getting there.
Yeah, there's a Seinfeld episode where Lane's dating a guy who's shaving his head, and he goes to realize he goes to grow it back, and he goes, "Oh my God, I'm going bald."
Yeah, that's me.
Now, I got a date for you, Chief. August 21st, 1989. What happened on that day?
Wow, so I started my law enforcement career on that day.
How about that? 36 years.
Oh, such a long, I mean, I know it's been a long time, but truly, I was I was a keynote speaker at police graduation last Friday in Decatur, Illinois. And I talked about this because I truly believe, and I was sincere when I said this, that I have the same passion for this job as I did in 1989. I can truly say that. So that was the start of my law enforcement career. I walked into the Illinois State Police Academy and got yelled at immediately. So they were not playing, and they were all over us. Standing at attention. I remember it like it was yesterday. So.
Is there an average, Chief, from the police officers you know that at 25, 30 years get out,
Yeah, I would say most officers do 25, 26 years and out.
It's more than enough.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure, especially with some of the things that law enforcement officers see on a daily basis. Sometimes those small razor cuts are too many for some people, and why take more than you have to? So at the end of the day,
I love that analogy you used with the razor cuts. Because,
because
like you said, they build up after a while, right?
They do. It's the big one. People think, it's these big. It's the small ones too, though, and they all add up. And you see a lot of bad things. You see people at their worst of times, and you'll never forget these things. I talked about that in my speech at the graduation because truly, you get triggered. I still get triggered by things that I see, things I smell, and things that I observe. I mean. I go back to, so I handled a fatality. I was a supervisor on a fatality of a young child who got ejected on the Dan Ryan Expressway at 79th Street. And that child was maybe 1.5, maybe 2, and it was on 4th of July. And the reason why I ever know this is because I stopped over to my mother's house just to get a bite to eat because it was the 4th of July. I was working the 4th. And they gave me the call, and I was like, "Ooh, that's right down. It's right off my mother's exit off the interstate." And so now every time I exit at my mother's at 79th Street,
that triggers it.
It triggers me.
Wow!
I was like, "Wow, that child was laying on the pavement, deceased, right there." So I'll never forget that. So it's just something. That's why I say, to your point, 25 years is enough. I mean, when you're dealing with those type of situations, and it's in your memory bank forever.
Wow, that is powerful stuff, Chief. We always appreciate you talking from the cuff there. Tell us about Corn Fest. I was just talking to Dan and went down there Saturday night. Everybody seemed to be behaving nicely and everything. Was there any incidents at Corn Fest?
So I would say that overall, I would think that Corn Fest 2025 was a complete success. So now, of course, we always going to have a couple of situations where people might require a little bit more attention from the police than most. and that occurred maybe once or twice. So,
Okay.
I will say that the concert was a complete, utter success. That everyone enjoyed themselves. I stood at the exit as everyone exited. I asked them all, "Hey, how did you enjoy the show?" They was like, "Chief, it was fantastic," and they were very happy. Every last person I saw walk through there was extremely happy and smiling, and so I think overall that it was a great success. Other than those few little skirmishes that we might have had.
Well, Chief, somebody posted on Facebook, it was a picture of one of the buildings in DeKalb, and there was, I believe, a couple of police officers up there.
Yep.
Tell us about that. Is that something people are very pleased to see that?
Yeah, and we'll always do that, especially at large events. You need what we call overwatch, meaning that we have people who are overseeing everything that we are looking at, the scope of the event. They can see law enforcement. They can see things that we might not have, might be able to not see from our vantage point.
Right.
So they're at a higher vantage point. They have binoculars. They can see things. They have drones up there. So it helps us. It makes us more safe as a community. It makes the event more safe when we have officers who have a different perspective and a higher perspective as far as visibility, so they can tell us if they see things that we probably wouldn't see until it got right up on us.
Yeah, because we know about the parade just last summer with that, and then
Truly. And if you think about it, if you go back to one of the things that always scares me now is as a law enforcement officer is what happened like on January 1st in New Orleans, where the gentleman drove his truck right down, in the middle of the French Quarter.
parade route, yeah.
Yeah. So, and if you have that overwatch, at least they can see that car coming and see that actually happening from their perspective and make notification faster. So so officers on the ground can prepare and stop that threat. So, they can stop the threat from there because, now, I'll be honest with you, now these are SWAT officers and they are equipped with their sniper rifles, and if they need to make they have to stop that threat from their spot, then that's what'll happen.
that's good to know. All right, well, thank you for that, Chief. Appreciate that. Dan, what do you got for some news there, my friend?
Well, I'm still thinking about did Young MC perform?
Yes, he was the headliner with the last
and
person.
Rob Ace. Yeah.
Wow. So, Young MC, Bust a Move, 1989.
Yes.
I'm going back to 1989.
That's right. You started. That's
There
right.
you go.
That was a great summer.
It was.
Cubs won the division that year.
That's right. Yeah.
Listen, they're not going to win it this year, unfortunately. And I'm a little upset about that. That lead went away pretty fast.
DeKalb City Council taking a hard look at a 10-year revenue sharing agreement with the developer, Mr. Patel, for the forthcoming Town Place Suites and Fairfield Inn combo hotels. That's on Peace Road, just north of 38. They just did groundbreaking this week.
Yeah, 120 rooms, yeah.
The agreement was requested to help pay for surging construction costs, which have increased by roughly $4 million since the project was announced a year ago. The $23 million project would rebate up to $2 million in hotel motel tax revenue over the decade, starting at 90% of the first year and then going down to 50% by the fifth year. Now, according to city leaders, the revenue sharing agreement has been requested to bridge the funding gap and is due to current economic conditions like the costs of construction tools and supplies, tariffs, and
Tariffs, yeah.
but moreover, Illinois tourism numbers for 2024 saw an all-time high for hotel tax revenue. I remember when they were talking about this a year ago. There's a demand for hotel rooms in this town.
Yeah, Courtney Strohacker with the Visitors Bureau said that they have turned people away because there's not enough hotel rooms here in town. So this is a great thing. Now, what do you think, Chief? Giving back a little bit, they're going to give them some breaks on some taxes here, just to get them here, So
Yeah. Hey, look, like I said, if you're turning people away because we don't have enough hotel rooms, let's change that.
Right. You get many calls to the Marriotts and the various hotels. Is that
When we get some calls, a lot of times, we have people who are, take these rooms out and they're not always using them for the proper actions, and they're doing things that are illegal. So, of course, we're going to, we get a call from a manager from a hotel in the establishment within the framework of City of DeKalb. We're going to respond and we'll take the appropriate action as needed but we also want to make sure that we keep the peace. A lot of times, that's what you see a lot at hotels is breach of peace because people are so loud and they forget that they're in a hotel and there are people who rented a room right next to you who paid good money to be able to go to sleep and sleep in peace and not hear all the noise and racket coming from the next door neighbor who totally forgot that they were in a hotel, evidently. So we're gonna, in those situations, we're gonna come in and we're gonna knock on those doors and we're gonna make sure that we retain that peace. So.
Yeah, when Dan had his rock band, Hard News, they used to trash the hotel rooms all the time, right?
But we don't get a lot of calls. So I will tell you that we every now and then we'll have someone who is at a hotel who is causing, who is, like I said, it's a breach of peace, and we're going to come and respond and make sure we put that in order. So.
Now, one of your school resource officers, Sully, I wrote down it right now.
Christopher Sullivan. Yeah.
And recently we got a commendation, but then of course we just had a shooting in Minneapolis there with some young kids, praying. I can't even go there. I can't even get there, but that's the reality of the situation, Chief. I mean, you can block that out if you want, but that's the case. And so tell us about the school resources that we have here in DeKalb and how important that they are.
So that's why they are important, because to be honest with you, when you talk about this situation that happened in Minneapolis, which is so tragic, you have young children losing their lives. I mean, these children have just begun to live their lives, and you have someone who is mentally ill and who took their life, and that's just extremely sad. And we, in every community throughout this country, throughout the world, are doing everything they can to keep our children safe. I mean, those are truly our precious gems. We should be taking care of them, making sure that they are protected every day. And that's what our school resource officers do. And to be honest with you, they are that, those police officers, they are there to be that force that will stop a situation like this from occurring. Because when you have that school resource officer and you have someone and we get a call or someone sees someone with a firearm approaching a school, that school resource officer is going to engage them immediately and stop that threat. Or, and of course, that call is going to go out to all law enforcement in the area, and we're all going to respond. But when it comes to active shooter, time is of the essence. Time equals loss of life. So we've seen situations like in Parkland, Florida, where they had a shooting where they waited to go in. They waited, and people were losing their lives as they waited. So that's when I tell you that time can equal loss of life. It is true, because we actually seen it happen that way. So it used to be a time years ago when we first started really truly training hard, to combat active shooters. You would try to get a hasty team, which is just a term that we use in law enforcement, but it would be like a 4-man unit. So you can have a point, and you can have a rear guard, and you can have 2 officers on the outside. And you would move as a unit. But unfortunately, waiting for that personnel is not always the right thing to do or the most effective thing to do to save lives. So now, when whoever the first officer there is, if there's an active shooter, meaning that you hear active rounds being fired, then you have to respond, even if you're by yourself. And that's just the way it is. And, so you go, because you have to understand that someone is actually losing their life right then and there in that moment, while you stand and wait for a partner or someone else to go with you. So we've kind of removed ourselves from that and just respond as needed in those situations. And unfortunately, yesterday was just extremely sad that those young children lost their lives. But back to what you were saying about Officer Sullivan and Officer Gordon are both at the high schools, and they do an amazing job. And we have Officer Remnitz, Officer Sorensen, and Officer Densberger. So we have 5 school resource officers in District 428, and they do an amazing job.
I love what happens with it. I'll show my age. There was a movie by Jerry Lewis, Hey Lady, Disorderly Orderly, it was called.
Oh, yeah.
He was a delinquent, and he befriended a police officer in the movie and then turned his whole life around. And I bet there's a lot of that going on in the schools that we don't even know about, right?
Yeah, like you said, we can't even, those are the situations that we don't always know about. it's hard to, like memorialize that. Like, how do you know that how you're affecting someone? You truly don't know until, and sometimes those children, who of course are in school, but then later on, of course, they grow up to be young adults, and then they'll come back and circle back and tell those officers, hey, you don't know how much you affected me. How much of an impact you had on me as a young, student.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wow. Sometimes you don't even know it. You're like, holy, I did not know that. And they tell you this, so you might, and that's when you find out all this time that you actually were impacting someone that you didn't even know you were doing.
Yeah, that's gotta mean a lot.
So that's amazing. So so I love my team of school resource officers. When I tell you, we meticulously pick them. I mean, like we really made sure that we picked the right people for that job, and we took steps. The interviews we talking about interviewing, the interview process, just seeing if they would be the right mix to do a job like that.
Yeah.
Because it is a special job. So it's a specialty. I mean, it truly is. In any frame of word, that's what I believe it is. When I think about them, it's a special position. So you need special people to do that. And they are extremely special, and they do it.
Well, you can see by the way the kids react to them, it's great to see.
Oh, it's amazing. I love watching it every day. I do.
Dan, what else you got for? Oh, you got something on that? I'm sorry.
No, I'll go on to the next story here. The 45-year-old man who pleaded guilty 2 months ago to charges stemming from a crash that killed a DeKalb County Sheriff's deputy will be spending over a decade in prison. Nathan Sweeney was sentenced Tuesday to 14 years in prison for aggravated DUI, causing the death of Deputy Christina Mussel. Sweeney had 2 additional DUI charges and a reckless homicide charge dismissed under a plea agreement. Mussel died March 28th, 2024, when Sweeney, who was under the influence while driving a tire service truck, struck her squad car that was parked off of Route 23 south of DeKalb. Mussel, a 5-year sheriff's office vet, an Army National Guard military police officer who served in Afghanistan. She died at the hospital.
Surviving Afghanistan and you lose your life like that. And I know you can't really talk about this per se, Chief, but 14 years, a lot of us, my wife and I looked at each other and just like 14 years, that's all he's going to get for...
No, I'll talk about it because it wasn't enough. Let's be honest with you about that. I don't have no problem with saying that, be honest with you. Because, think about what was taken.
The mother of 2.
The daughter, I've talked to her mother on several occasions. When I say her, Christina's mother, and I've seen her in different places, and we've had conversations. And that woman is hurting, and she's going to hurt for a long time. And imagine what her children are going through, And this man took that all away from them. For what reason? I mean, that's the thing I always like. Why? This didn't have to happen. I mean, it truly did. It just didn't happen. It truly did. This didn't have to happen. We have too many ways of handling these situations when you have, maybe when you have had too many drinks, you're intoxicated. You don't have to drive. There's so many other options out here. Mm-hmm. We have Ubers. We have all types. A lot of times, walk. Sometimes it's the distance is walkable. Walk it. Mm-hmm. Call somebody. Call a friend so you don't have to get behind the wheel when you're intoxicated. So this truly did not have to happen. Her death was senseless, totally senseless. It did not have to happen. And when, preventable. That's the thing. This is preventable. This never had to happen. And now you have children who are without their mother, a mother who is without her daughter. I mean, that is just, it's heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking when it happened. It's still heartbreaking today. Because every time you think about that, it's going to tug on your heartstrings because this shouldn't have happened. Mm-hmm. Senseless, totally, Terry. There's no, and I tell people that all the time. When they say, oh, there was an accident. No, you know what? No, the accidents are different. This is a crash and it didn't have to happen. And it was senseless. And he knows that deep down. I'm sure when he was getting sentenced, he probably knew that I hope that humanity is in him, that he understood, hey, this was my fault. This did not have to happen. I should have been a better person that night. If I'd been a better person, she would still be here. And that's the truth. So in that 14 years, that's not enough. You took someone's life forever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you for that answer.
You get 14 years.
I appreciate that answer, Chief.
Yeah. No.
What else you got there, Dan?
I got to ask the chief about this. About LPRs.
LPRs, yes. Automated license plate readers. Yes. We love them.
Who's the outfit? Is it Flock Safety or is it some other one in DeKalb?
Well, so we have Genentech.
Okay.
But Flock is another, manufacturer.
Okay. Well, this is Flock Safety. Secretary of State Alexi Janulius has ordered a company which operates automated license reader systems to shut off U.S. Customs and Border Protection access to LPR data. Janulius said Flock Safety, which is used by many agencies,
Very much so.
has violated state law by allowing the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency to access cameras. The revelation comes just 2 months after Janulius ordered Flock to block outside law enforcement from seeking Illinois data related to getting abortions and anything regarding illegal immigration.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll stand on this, and I said this from the beginning. I know, Terry, you and I talked about this early on when we were first implementing the automated license plate reader. It's still such an effective tool for law enforcement. And
we've seen it, right?
It has been impactful. And we have so many stories that we have won the day on because of the license plate readers, the safety cameras. That technology is extremely important. A lot of people, they fear technology, and sometimes I guess I can understand the thought process, but technology is important, and it's really just another tool in law enforcement's toolbox to do their job, because the human element of law enforcement is always going to be pivotal and important, and and always involved in law enforcement. We cannot do this job without having the human element. However, if
we all watch the cop shows and we know that initial moment, you got to have that street smart. What's going on here?
Right, because it's only telling us a portion of the story. We still have to complete that portion as the human element. So, a lot of times, license plate readers will tell you. We had one a couple of weeks ago where a car crossed a license plate reader, and the car was wanted for a homicide in Chicago, and then we, of course, the last location was given out. Officers, of course, scrambled and rallied, and then they were able to get that vehicle stopped and take that person into custody. And you're talking about in minutes time. Based, if you go back to times when I first started, we talk about 1989 when you didn't have a license plate reader. The only time you knew that a bad guy like that was in your vehicle if an officer ran across that vehicle and ran that license plate to be notified that vehicle was a felonious vehicle.
Okay.
So think about it, and I tell my officers all the time, you guys got it easy because we had to work to get to this point. You have license plate readers that are telling you every time that a bad guy comes into the town and that you need to be on the lookout for. We didn't have that. We had to search every day and search these vehicles out. We had to run that plate, get that information, off the computer or from dispatch, and then we would react. So a lot of times, I know people are weary of technology. I think it should.
Not when the good guys are using it.
Not when they're doing it, and not when they're doing it appropriately and correctly and lawfully. So, and all those things have to be in place. We don't want to, and like I told early on, people are like, we're going to be getting tickets. Not one person has ever got a ticket from a license plate reader here or any other type of traffic enforcement. That has never happened. I promised that from the beginning. That's not what it was.
Okay.
I mean, this is a crime-fighting tool. And and that's what we use it for daily, is to keep everyone safe in this community. And that's what it has done. It's been extremely impactful. The safety cameras are extremely impactful. We arrested a bank robber from the safety camera footage from one of the Husky buses.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's how we got
it. From the Illinois Community Credit
That's how we got it.
Is that right?
Yep.
Wow. So he decided not to defend himself.
No, he did not, and he took a plea as well. So at the end of the day, that's why I try to talk to our residents and calm their nerves when it comes to that. because truly technology is the future. I mean, we're going to have it. We don't want to be behind the eight ball when it comes to technology here in DeKalb. We should be trying to look forward and see what technology that is out there that's going to improve the ability of law enforcement to provide public safety to the city of DeKalb. And if it's out there, we should be seeking it as long as it's that we use it lawfully and righteously when we do our job.
That makes me think of the Fuzzbusters. Remember everybody was in a Fuzzbuster? And then they would figure out technology, then they come out with a new one.
They come out with a laser. And there's always, let me just be honest with you. And the bad guys out there, they always try to one up law enforcement.
Right.
So whenever we come up with technology, they try to beat the technology. And sometimes they have technology that we don't know about, and we have to catch up with them.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we want to always be ahead of this game, because, like I said, this is all about providing public safety to the amazing citizens of DeKalb, which they are. But when I hear people get concerned about certain parts of technology, it's like, do some real research first, or just come talk to us so we can explain to you why we need said technology and how it's going to affect the public safety of the city of DeKalb.
I like that. A human explained that to you.
Yep.
Dan, did you have a Fuzzbuster back in the day? I'm guessing you did.
I think in the 80s, I think my dad had one.
My brother had
it
one.
was annoying.
It was. And it never worked.
Riding in the rain.
It never saved us.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing about the Fuzzbusters is always funny that, a law enforcement officer could pace you and get your speed without using a radar. And people's like, did you get me on radar? No. I was like, well, I paced you. And what it means by pace you is that you stay a certain distance from the vehicle you're pacing without losing ground and without gaining ground. And whatever speed is on your speedometer is the speed that car is doing.
Okay.
And you don't use your radar for it. As long as your speedometer is calibrated, which it is, so if I'm doing 90 and I'm not gaining ground on you or losing ground on you, guess what you're doing?
Okay.
90.
Oh, that's good to know. A lot of people always think that you have to be on radar.
No, you get paced.
Okay.
And that's what pacing is. But you have to do it for a certain amount of time. I mean, it's
certain distance.
Yeah, certain city streets will be a little tough. Unless it was you got a good boulevard. You could do it on Sycamore Road. You could do it.
Okay.
Because you got you have that extended length of roadway that you could do it on.
We always learn something from you, Chief.
Yeah, interstate, we do it all the time.
Give me a quick answer on this one now. Sure. I know the new roundabout there at NIU, and everybody's just going to be crashes and carnage. What has been the result? Have you had any calls? I know that.
Not that I know of. And look, let me tell you about it. So the roundabouts, they are really effective when put in the right position. And as long as you know that engineering has been done and the proper assessment of the area, as long as you do those things and make sure, hey, is it truly a need for the roundabout here? And if it is, and if the engineering says so, and the data says so, then put it there.
Okay.
Just like we do with stop signs. I mean, it's just a good spot for us, because a lot of times we hear that from members of our community. Oh, we need a stop sign now. Well, wait a minute now. We need to assess that first. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know it might seem like you need a stop sign there, but do you truly? Because it might cause more harm than good. People that's why because that's the first thing is to say, well, let's put a stop sign there. Okay, but that might not be a real feasible answer for this. It might not be the proper answer to this problem. But you won't know that until you do the assessment. So you need to check speeds and get that data, that hard data. Talk to an engineer who actually does this for a living, and then if they decide, hey, look, after everything that we've looked at, we've calculated that a roundabout or a stop sign or a traffic light or left turn signal is something that would make this intersection safer, more efficient, will increase, will speed up, we don't
the traffic flow. Yeah.
Well, we don't want to speed them up personally, but traffic flow is important. I mean, truly, that's how people get from point A to point B. People get frustrated when they can't get to point A to point B, and that's what causes some road rage incidents because people are frustrated because they've been in traffic all day. And although this is not Chicago, it's all relative. I mean, so for some people, this is too much traffic. It just depends. So far, though, Terry, to go back and answer your question, I personally have not been notified of any issues with the roundabout. I think people just have to get, of course, if you're not used to them,
Right.
you have to kind of get.
We joked about a learning curve. We call it a learning curve.
It is a learning curve with the roundabout. But it is, I've seen it. I got traveling in Indiana. They have a lot of roundabouts in Indiana. And it is really efficient. You see cars constantly in motion, no stoppage. And as long as you're doing that safely, I think it's a good thing. So, I mean, so far, so good. Fingers crossed.
All right. We're talking to Chief Byrd, DeKalb Police Chief David Byrd, joining us for the news. What else you got?
I like single lane roundabouts.
Yeah, we talked about the double because my sister lived out in
gets a
Boston.
little-
They got 2 and 3 layers, and like, forget that.
Yeah, if you're going to turn, make the turn.
Yeah.
And some people get stuck in the wrong lane. They want to be in the other one. It's like, but then they want to inconvenience you.
Right.
And come like, no, why don't you just take the circle and come back because you were in the wrong spot, not me. So,
Yeah. This is Chicago's story. I was in Chicago recently, TV. That's still a clean city.
very much so.
I don't see. It's not like Portland or Seattle where you see tent cities on the south. I didn't see any of that. It's still a clean city.
Yeah.
But your hometown, right?
Yes, it is.
You're on the record, right?
South Sider.
South Side, 72nd King Drive,
right.
Park Manor.
My mother's 64th and Stony Island.
Oh, yeah, know that way very well.
The number of businesses operating in Chicago has reached a 10-year low. The Illinois Policy Institute is citing city license data. It claims that Chicago had 44,800 businesses operating last year, down from 54,100 in 2015. TD, the Mag Mile, saw the largest decline, 51% drop over the past 10 years.
Wow.
Business.
51%.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Remember they had the Wildings there on Michigan Avenue where they were just breaking into stores?
smash and grabs everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. And for someone who was born and raised in Chicago, my whole family's there. It saddens me. I think there was a Nordstrom smash and grab last week or early this week where they robbed a Nordstrom down there. And look, at the end of the day, retail theft, people assume like, well, you have insurance for that. And that might be the case, but you can't continue to lose money, from people who are committing crimes against the retail shops. You have to protect those areas. Downtown is so pivotal to what Chicago is. And to your point, Chicago is you walk downtown Chicago, it's extremely clean. Mm-hmm. It really is a clean area. Some other downtowns you go to and other.
I was in Philadelphia.
Other big cities. Oh, yeah.
That was rough, man.
Yeah,
Right.
it looks bad.
Yeah.
And, so that's important. I mean, even here, believe me, our retail shops, we make sure that we hold them accountable when they get caught, shoplifting. We're going to hold them accountable. And at the end of the day, that's just, I understand people fall on hard times, but we also have a lot of programs to help people as well. Take advantage of the programs. That's what you should be doing if you fall on some hard times. That's what the city of DeKalb structure, mainframe structure is supposed to be doing, is taking care of people who have these situations where they have struggles and hard times, but stealing is not the answer. And at the end of the day, we're going to have to hold you accountable if you're shoplifting from any of our retail establishments here in the city of DeKalb.
Well, now I got an interesting one for you here, Chief. Cortland man found by police with bleeding head, charged with hate crime. Now, there was a lot of moving parts to this one, right? Because my understanding was the other gentleman was defending the young lady, and
there was a lot going on there for sure. And this gentleman used some, like I said, extremely derogatory words towards him with racial overtones, and that's never a good thing. And I tell you, people. But
my understanding was he was defending the woman, and it got to a point where he actually assaulted the other guy. And now, is he not immune from that? But we have that rule, the Make My Day law, where whatever the rule is, where you can help somebody.
I mean, he's a good Samaritan. So and he intervened, and that's fine. And at the end of the day, you can protect yourself as well. You don't have to. No one has to take a battery or or be assaulted. I mean, you can defend yourself. And like I said, as long as we can articulate that that's what occurred, that you were defending yourself, then you can stand on that ground.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, we're going to find out who the instigator is, which in this case, that's why he was charged, not the person who defended himself or defended others.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I'm still saddened by the language that was used in this situation. And like I said, when I spoke at this, I talked about earlier with you guys at the graduation, I brought up how, Martin Luther King years and years ago said, don't judge me by the color of my skin, judge me by the content of my character. We still have a long way to go there. People still aren't doing that.
No.
They are still judging people by the color of their skin. And that bothers me. Even to this day, this is 2025, and this man, who was a great man, and he had foresight beyond foresight when he said these things. It's like, he dreamt of this, like that one day his children would be judged by the content of their character, but not by their skin. We're not there yet, Terry. I'm telling you, it's unfortunate. People still do that daily, where they look at someone and they don't judge them by who they are. They don't judge them by who they are. Judge me by the content of my character. Judge me by my actions. That's what we should be doing. I express that to my officers every day when I get opportunity to have a conversation with them. I tell them all the time, hey, let's be righteous in your actions and judge the people by their character. That's who they are. And if they're bad people, I understand. That's fine. Hold them accountable, but don't judge them by how they look. People judge people by, it's just not right. And people are still being judged by the minority, and large groups are being judged by the minority instead of the majority. How does that make sense?
Right, I know, but that Facebook has that where you got the minority kind of role leading the charge.
It's strong, and we deal with it in law enforcement. We get paid with a broad brush by the small minority of law enforcement officers who have done things that they weren't righteous in their actions, and we get judged by it as a whole.
As a whole, yeah.
And that's not right. But no large group of people should be judged by the minority. What? Majority rules, right? And everything that we do. But all of a sudden, the minority in certain situations, when it comes to judging groups of people, as a black man, I've dealt with that my whole career, where they judge a race just by a small minority of the people who are doing things that are wrong or unjust. And the same thing with law enforcement. We get it all the time. Different sexual orientations, genders. Everyone's judged by this small minority instead of the majority of the people, which is always just dumbfounded me personally. So, not to get on my soapbox.
No, it's all right. That's a great answer there, Chief.
But it does bother me still. So.
Now, I was researching when you coming in. I got on the DeKalb police website, and I see that I just picked one day. This is August 26th. 28 accidents, arrests, citations, and incidents result found. And we have things like trespassing land, traffic offenses, assault, criminal trespass to real property. What does that mean, Chief, when you say criminal trespass to real property? What is that?
Well, you just evidently it was on someone else's, like your property.
Okay.
So, so they were on like that is your property and they were trespassing on your backyard. Okay. Let's just say, or something like that.
Now, here's one that says civil matter of record inactive. Now, what does that mean? Is that
was that arrest?
I don't know this list of just citations and what the.
Yeah, so basically it was a civil matter, so they just made it a matter of record because it didn't require law enforcement. It didn't require enforcement. Okay. So it was a civil matter, meaning, hey, look, you need to take this up civilly, not with police department.
And then we
made a record of it though.
Okay. So it's on the record. I see retail theft, and then theft under $500 except cleared. What does that mean? Now it's at
Yeah, so theft under $500 would be depending on how much that item costs. So if it's on the threshold of $500, then that's why we classify it. So
okay, and then it's a higher charge.
It's higher if it's not. So
now harassment through electronic communications. Dan just said, well, that's somebody just calling on you on the phone, and
it could be
basically what that is.
A lot of different ways of harassing someone with communication. They could use text, call, email.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so all those different ways. Yeah, I got it. Okay,
some people get constantly get emails. Some people get texts. Somebody get calls.
And then there's one here, theft obtained by deception, control over property.
Yep. So by deception, so sometimes you'll see, you see this a lot of times with vehicles where people come in, do a test drive, and they
Take off, yeah.
and they take off. So it's theft by deception. Or sometimes it's, well, you say, hey, I'll do this for you if you do this, and then they don't do it.
Okay.
So it's like I deceived you, and I gained from this deception.
Okay.
So that's what I mean. Like when you're looking at a vehicle, when you say, hey, they go in with a fraudulent driver's license and say, hey, I'm going to do a test drive, and you give them the card, and they never bring it back.
There you go.
Yeah. So
then
they deceived you by the use of a false driver's license, and they stole the vehicle.
Now, we just had our friends here from the DeKalb Mental Health Board, and we were talking about behavioral issues and going out on calls with police officers. And I see here one behavioral health issue happened, an incident. Tell us about that. Are they on call? And so were they used in, I don't know, what this particular incident was. Are they always on calls when you say, we have a situation here where maybe a mental health professional would help here?
Yeah, so we have been, I would say we're not co-responding at this point, but it'd be nice at some point. Let me take that back. This summer, we actually did a little bit of a pilot of like a co-response, with a social worker and a police officer co-responding together.
Okay, kind of a trial run there?
Yep, and it worked out great. And we had the opportunity. We had an officer who was one of our school resource officers who was free for the summer because, of course, school was out. And we said, hey, why don't we try this? And you team up with one of our social workers, and let's see how this goes. And it went well. It did extremely effective. So right now, though, every day, usually officers will respond to a call or they'll get a call and they say, hey, is there a social worker available? And then they'll say, yeah, 10-4. Then, all right, have her respond or he respond. Yeah. Have him respond.
Because you guys are called to do so many other things. I mean, let a social worker at least undo the burden from that.
Yeah, because at some point, we'll get to the scene and we'll evaluate it. And once we determine that it's a call that they should be handling, we're going to turn it over to them. And as long as they're safe, we're going to leave.
Okay.
So it just, we're going to basically detach from the situation.
And mentally, I'm sure that's great for them because the fear of the police now is gone.
Yep, because law enforcement has removed themselves. But we only do that when we know it's safe to do.
Sure.
But like I said, it's been great. That program has been fantastic. They've made some, they do a lot of referrals. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, like to your point, they're not working overnight with us. So we give them referrals overnight. But during the daytime, like you're talking about days and afternoons, they're available. But overnight, we haven't got to a point yet where we have enough staffing on their end to have someone work overnight yet.
Right. All right. Very good, Chief.
But that's the future, though.
That's a great future there.
That is the future.
Community calendar. I want to point out Kishwaukee College Skills USA team earned a championship medal. Now, we always talk all about the sports teams and everything. This was a skills competition, and they won, and so I want to acknowledge those guys. So congratulations to the Kishwaukee College Skills team.
Awesome.
And then a motorcycle club. Now, you used to ride, didn't you, Chief?
Oh, no. I'll never get on a motorcycle.
Why can't I picture you on a motorcycle? No, okay.
My brothers did that, and I saw them fall off, and I was like, I'm done.
But a motorcycle club raised hundreds of dollars for Project Fire Buddies in Sycamore, too. And I know you, I'm sure you encounter a lot of motorcycle people,
sure.
Chief, and they got a bad rap, don't they? I mean, there's a lot of good motorcycle people out there.
Oh, yeah, of course. Follow all the rules of the road and safe drivers. And no, believe me, I have nothing against anyone who motorcycle riders. It's just every now and then, you see people who are riding these, they call them cross rockets and all that stuff, and these fast bikes.
Right.
And then they, for that alone, and they cut through traffic, and they cause more of a danger to the public when they're doing that. So when I see those type of things, those are situations that law enforcement will have to, make their presence known and enforce the laws of the state of Illinois on. But for the most part, I'm with you, Terry. No, like I said, we always put signs out, watch out for the motorcycle riders, and that's a campaign we push every year, especially around the beginning of like spring into summer. And every law enforcement agency does it. And watch out for the riders, because they're not normally out there 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Not in the Midwest, maybe you get out on the West Coast, they ride all year round, but here they don't.
I got up to a 350 Suzuki, and a lady up in Wisconsin, there was a turn right, and she just pulled right into me. I went up in the ditch, and I was only going about 10 miles an hour, and I'm like, I can drive as safe as I want, but you got to allow for the other people. And she didn't see me at all. She just drove right off. She just got me right off. So that was time for me to get off the bike.
And you do it like it is, yeah. And my brother, like I said, my brother was a commander with Chicago Police Department years ago. He dropped his bike on the Ryan, and he had road rash everywhere. I was like, yeah, that's why I don't ride the motorcycle. And I think that was the last time he rode, actually.
Now, we're back doing our suicide prevention show here on the podcast, and we want to point out that the Egyptian Theater on September 5th having Canvas for Courage, an art show meant to open up the conversation about suicide prevention among students and youth individuals. And unfortunately, Chief, I don't want to get bogged down with this, but I know, unfortunately, a lot of police officers take their own lives, and unfortunately, they complete the act because, again, they're used to using weapons, and they complete the act.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and some, I mean, I think we talked a little bit about, those razor cuts earlier, about those mental razor cuts that law enforcement officers and first responders in general, not just law enforcement. I mean, of course, our DeKalb Fire Department, receives those same cuts in a different arena, but it's the same thing. And so we see officers and who are struggling in so many ways, and a lot of times it's not just work related. It's it's personal.
Sure.
In some ways, some personal things are going on, and you do your best to try to. At least I know at the DeKalb Police Department, we're constantly trying to provide mental health awareness for our officers. We encourage them to seek mental health, seek those opportunities to have those clinical visits and talk.
Yeah, we talked about military personnel, and they say now it's courageous to ask for the help. It used to be, pick yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah, it was taboo. And I when I came on the job, you couldn't talk like we talk now. And I'm happy that things have changed. Believe me, I wish I could have shared some of my thoughts as a young officer, but that wasn't the case. You were looked on as not, if you were to do that, it would be like, well, are you meant to do this job? And then they start questioning whether you should be a police officer or not. And no one wants to be.
Well, look at the story you just told us, Chief, where you found a baby on the highway. I mean, how can anybody just be expected to go back to life after seeing something like that?
Yeah, especially when you have children. You look at your child when you come home from a situation like that, and it's a struggle. So we have to constantly take care of each other and mentally, as far and in law enforcement, I tell families all the time, I usually address the families directly as swearing-ins because I want them to understand how the support mechanism works for them to the police officer, because they're going to need their help. They don't need you to answer questions for them or solve problems, but they need you to be an active listener. Sometimes they need you to sit with them in silence. And people don't understand how supportive that is alone. They don't understand the impact of just sitting with someone in silence, because that's all they really want. And knowing that you're there with them and supportive of them, it goes a long way. So I always express my thoughts directly to the families when I get those opportunities, because I want them to understand how much support that that a person who is in law enforcement will need. Because truly, and people, I think families are shocked to understand this, but I told them this about a week ago, was that, when your loved one decides to take a career in law enforcement, you might as well stand up and take the oath with them.
Right.
Because truly, you're taking the same oath, you just don't know it. And you're going to have to deal with everything that he deals with, you just don't know it. Mm-hmm. So they pick the career that you're accepting as well as your own, even though you don't know it. And that's the truth.
There's a Winnie the Pooh cartoon where Piglet's having some kind of trouble, and Winnie the Pooh goes over there and he says, "Do you want to talk?" And Piglet goes, "No." And he goes, I'll just sit here for a while." And he goes, and then later on, Piglet thanks him for just sitting there. Sometimes you don't have to say anything; just be there. Just physically be there.
It's important, Terry. It really is, and I think these, when I talk to the families and I express it to them. And even afterwards, when I have these conversations, they'll come up to me later and say, that really resonated with me. I get that. I'm glad you said that, because I didn't know, that, you're basically taking the oath as well.
Yeah.
Because they decided.
Well, I mentioned the people who love you. Every time they see Dave walk through the door, there's a big sigh and probably a big prayer that's been answered.
Every day. My mother still does it to this day, and I'm almost 59 years old. And she's, she still worries about me every day. And at the end of the day, I guess no news is good news, but that doesn't stop people from worrying.
That's a good point. So,
yeah.
All right, let's take a quick look at sports here. Of course, football. Dan and I were just talking about Friday Night Lights and how great it is.
It's time to get back to football.
DeKalb playing Sycamore. And of course, I always see all the officers there keeping, not that they need to keep peace there between the two. I guess things did used to get a little heated back in the day. They stopped the Sycamore DeKalb rivalry at one point because of the fisticuffs and things going on in the stand.
I know that.
Yeah, so I don't think we have that problem now, but
it's been good at least since I've been there. I haven't seen anything.
But when I see the officers there, they're high-fiving kids. The kids are coming up to them, all smiles. I mean, they don't ignore them like, what is this police officer doing here? I mean, no, it's great to see that.
It's fun. I'll be there for the challenge tomorrow, and I love football, so I watch it from the perspective. I used to be a coach, so I watch it from a coach's eye. And so when I sit there and watch the game, I'm looking at who's getting back on coverage. And
you were a D-back, right? A D-back?
Yeah, and I coached defensive back.
That's why I think it hit to this guy. Right.
Yeah, I love it.
He looks like an outside linebacker.
Well, back, the strong safeties were getting much bigger during my time as they're huge now. But
well, Davon Grant over there at DeKalb High School. That kid is something special.
He's going to U of I, right?
Yeah.
University of Illinois. So he's committed, so that's good. I'm looking forward to seeing him play tomorrow. And Sycamore has a couple of really good players that are already committed to some big-time college football. So it's going to be exciting. Some of these kids we might see on Sunday in a couple of years.
That's right. And what shadow? We have to mention with the official mayor of DeKalb. But the DeKalb girls flag football team won their first game against Belvedere. Did you see that? Who would have thought in your lifetime that we'd be seeing that? They got girls wrestling, and now we got girls flag football.
So I have a niece that plays on the flag football team
in
St. Lawrence. She's a freshman at St. Lawrence. And then I have my best friend has two of her daughters that play at Marist. And they play flag football. Okay. They're doing great, and they catch that football, and they can throw it.
Yeah, the throwing is what I'm most impressed by.
It is very.
From a guy who can't throw a football to say
but very accurate. They throw the deep ball well, and it's amazing. I love that. I'm excited. I think is this going to be Olympic sport soon?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
so that's pretty cool.
We're joined by the unofficial mayor of DeKalb, Shadow Gentry. Shadow, first of all, who's going to win the football game tomorrow night between DeKalb and Sycamore?
I'm going to put my money on DeKalb.
You're going to put your money on DeKalb?
Beat them.
All right, very good.
Wow, really, Shadow? I love that. I'm with you, though.
That's a shocker coming from Shadow. Yeah. You wanted to tell us about a golf event that's coming up? Tell us about that, Shadow.
The Zucker Memorial golf outing is Monday, September 29th, 11 o'clock in the morning at the Kishwaukee Country Club.
Okay, and how do we get tickets for that?
You can't because it's all. I just found out it's all filled up.
Oh, it's filled up already. Okay.
And
it's in honor of Mr. Tom Zucker. You told us, right?
Yeah.
Who was Tom again? Tell us who he was.
He was the executive director of the Voluntary Action Center from 1974 until his
unfortunate passing, right?
Yeah, and then Ellen Rogers was the first one, and then Tom took over.
Okay.
And then he led the Voluntary Action Center for many years, and then passed on.
All right. Well, thanks for that, Shadow. We're up against the clock here, but tell us what you know about Chief Byrd. What do you think about Chief Byrd? I got my finger on the button, Shadow. Be careful.
What do I think about Chief Byrd? I think most people don't know this, but Chief Byrd is a very athletic guy.
Yeah, we're just talking about his football days,
And he told me one time that he works out at the Wellness Center at Northwestern Medicine.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
I enjoy my workouts, and I give every now and then I'll give Shadow a ride for we go pick up food for Shadow and his mom when we leave city council. But that's when Shadow used to hang around. He doesn't hang around city council more. He does his duty and leave.
He's got bigger fish to fry.
Right.
Well, Shadow, we always appreciate you stopping by, buddy. And what do you got coming up? What are you doing? Are you going to be singing or something? Are you going to choir again this year?
Not at this particular time, but I'm looking forward to some auditions in 2026.
Okay. And of course, you'll be helping us with Freezing for Food, right? With over there at the Hy-Vee where you work, and we appreciate that.
I was supposed to talk about the the Chuck Seabrass Memorial Cornwall, wasn't it?
Oh, tell us a little bit about that. But we also have like 2 minutes. Like, give me 2 minutes of Chuck Seabrass cornball. How was it? Did they give all the corn away?
Yeah, we ended up serving 6,500 people and about 6 crates of corn.
That's a lot of corn.
And this year, the corn was donated to us by Wessel's Family Farm on Sycamore Road. So
Right.
if you're ever looking for good corn, ladies and gentlemen, please go to Wessel's. They'll take good care of you, and the corn was great.
Outstanding.
Good corn.
And what did you boil it? What did you do? Did you boil it or serve it? What did you do?
Well, I got there at about 20 to 11, and they asked me to fill the last station, and I worked with a girl from Schnucks grocery store. And Nicole, if you're listening out there, thanks for all the help you gave me.
All right, Shadow.
All right.
Well, thank you, buddy. We got to get to our news quiz here. We're almost completely out of time, but thank you for stopping by, Shadow. We appreciate it. Well, Dan's going to formulate that right now.
Good
You'll have
job,
to listen to this
Shadow.
one. Thank you, Shadow.
Always good to see you, buddy.
TD, might let people know that the Nukin is taking over.
Well, Dan, where are you going?
Nukin is taking over, and I think
Yeah, Let's Talk Turkey and Freezing for Food. Yeah,
Let's Talk Turkey is
November 21st.
November 21st at the Salvation Army. So if you are out there and you want to come and deliver a turkey, TD Ryan, myself, Bill Panukin, and others will be there to take your donation. And
Oh, perfect.
freezing for food is December 4th, 5th, and 6th at the Ivy parking lot. And
He's working without notes. Yes, very good. All right.
and once again, TD Ryan, myself, Bill Panukin, and others will be out there. And may I do a special plug for the
Oh, but
women's
really, hurry. We want to
women's basketball? Don't forget to get your tickets for NIU women's basketball. You want to see Casey Brooks in action as a her
Head coach.
19th season as head women's basketball coach, and that's going to be November 7th, 2025 at the Convocation Center. And
Okay.
go Barbs!
All right.
Good job,
All right,
Shadow.
Yeah.
My man.
Dan, quickly give us a news quiz here. We're going to have to wrap things up. You know, we could talk so long with you, Chief.
No, I love it. No, I
We
appreciate
your time
guys.
so much, man. I can't even thank you enough.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you, TD.
Olivia Weaver, want to wish happy birthday to her. Her birthday is today, as we're recording this on the 27th.
Oh, wow. Happy
Brandy
birthday.
Stockwell, birthday on the 29th, and Clinton Becker will celebrate on the 31st. What do you got for a
birthday
news?
to all.
News quiz there, Dan.
Boy, I don't have a good one.
Just throw it out there.
DeKalb city leaders are exploring a possible 10-year revenue sharing agreement with the developer of these properties.
All right, what is that from?
Businesses would those be?
If you could tell me that, 748-1360, 748-1360. No. No, contact me at TDRyan2001 at yahoo.com, and I will mail you those 2 gift certificates to Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more.
So I
Just
give
have-
you that first come, first serve. Huh?
we got 1 minute left, and I saved the best for last, and that you, sir, recently received, not you, Dan, the Medal of Honor from the police department. And what does that mean to you, Chief, to get that? I mean, because we are in awe of you. And
No,
I'm glad
yeah,
to
it
see
means
you
a
get
lot.
recognized.
I received the state of Illinois Medal of Honor from state of Illinois from the governor, and then Medal of Valor from the DeKalb Police Department, and the city manager presented that with me. It presented that to me last week, and it meant a lot to me. It meant a lot coming from City Manager Bill Nicholas. He brought me here and gave me opportunity to spread my wings as chief of police here in the city of DeKalb. I can't thank him more. I will always be indebted to Bill Nicholas for giving me the opportunity, because, and not truly, that's all I needed was opportunity. I knew what I was capable of, and he gave me the opportunity. So it meant a lot coming from him, but it just means that, that you'll never stop being a police officer. And I also always want to be, someone who leads from the front. I want my officers to know that I always have their back as well. And And if they ever need any assistance, I'll be there for them. And that's part of what this whole, we're talking about these different medals. I mean, they're not important on the face, but it does tell everyone that, hey, we're working hard out here and we're doing it for the community, and we want to provide public safety to the members of the residents of the city of DeKalb.
Well, I know I speak for the community when I say you are beloved, Chief. And again, we are so grateful that you take time to talk to us. Not only take time to talk to us, but give us these great answers. You don't just phone it in, or you're not reading off of some police chart that answer this way.
No, I'm giving you the real answers. I'm giving you how I feel.
We appreciate it.
I'm being honest and transparent. And I think I know that's what you want, but I also know that the residents of the city of DeKalb want transparency, and that's what they'll always get from me, good, bad, or indifferent.
Well, as we always say, take care of yourself and
Yes, sir.
more men and women of the DeKalb Police
I
Department.
will do that, TD.
Thanks always for your time, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thanks for having me. Always.
Dan, always a pleasure. Thank you for your efforts.
Oh, my pleasure to be on.
And that's TD Ryan Unleashed, Newscast number 13. TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Zyman, your State Farm insurance agent. Scott can help you save money bundling your home and auto insurance. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Zyman and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. For delivery or pickup, call 815-758-8116 or go to pizzavilla.com. My Insurance Guys in Sycamore, family owned, local, reliable. My Insurance Guys cover Medicare to auto and everything in between. Call us in Sycamore at 815-899-0950. My Insurance Guy, business, auto, home, life, and health at myinsuranceguy.com. And Elder Care Services of DeKalb County, safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay at home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdekalb.org.